Welcome to In the Cool of the Day, and today's segment, Keeping It Real with Donna and David Burks. Today we have a very special show dealing with disabilities. A special guest understands this firsthand as he lost his sight to diabetes 10 years ago. This has not slowed him down as he lives a full and active life, as he did prior to his disability. In addition to his full-time employment in the 90s, our guest also worked with youth sports programs, starting with the Boys and Girls Club, the Amateur Athletic Union, and then he created his own 501c, his nonprofit, the Youth Track Foundation, which helped 98% of young men in the program go to college with full scholarships. After losing his sight in his job, he worked for the Maryland National Parks and Planning Commission, Sports and Recreation Division as an inclusion specialist. He also worked with Port Towns Health Partnership in the fight against diabetes. He currently has a nonprofit, the Ecumenical Health Council, which focuses on eating healthy and active living. It's known as HEAL. And he serves as commissioner for the Department of Disabilities in Prince George County, Maryland. Most recently, he has begun to help families understand the principles of financial literacy while studying to become a licensed producer. In addition to all of this, our guest is one of the leaders for the Bridges Ministry at Reed Temple AME and is a member of the church's traveling men's choir. So ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Mr. Raymond Smith, aka Coach Ray, to the show.
Welcome, welcome.
That is a mouthful, Ray.
Thanks for having me. That's a lot of stuff.
You have done a lot in your life, and you are still a very busy man.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
So with all of this, I know that our audience is very eager to hear about your life and about what we're going to talk about today relating to the disabilities. Okay?
Excellent.
So if you don't mind, I would like to start with kind of recapping and going back a little bit of some of the events prior to losing your sight. Okay, so first of all, tell us about your family.
Well, I have been married for 31 years to this beautiful woman by the name of Cynthia. I have 4 amazing adult children, Richard, Gregory, Renita, and Rathia. And I have 3 beautiful grandchildren, Joshua, Jocelyn, and Austin.
Oh.
And my mom and dad are still kicking and alive and doing well. Dad is special shout out for my father. He is the oldest tenured employee in the history of Geico.
Wow.
57 years this month.
Wow, that is amazing. That is pretty good. Now, how old are your grandchildren?
Grandchildren are 6, 5, and Austin's getting ready to turn 3 in November this year.
Oh, that's a fun age right about that. So it seems that throughout your life, I know you've worked with sports, you've been a coach, an athletic coach,
yes,
but as well, you've also kind of been a life coach on
correct,
some of your jobs and talking to people, and folks kind of have a tendency to gravitate towards you for counseling. So tell us a little bit about how you saw that, you know, back in the day. How did that occur, like through some of your employments?
Well, really, it started as a child. At the age of 11 years old, 11, 12 years old, I was captain of the patrols at my school, which gave me a capacity of leadership. And then learning about team play in regard to sports and athletics. And also just being a spokesman, you know, learning to understand and doing the right things by way of people and helping people who are less than. And that's pretty much been sort of the forte that's been established for me over the years, and it just continued to gravitate.
So you already had a purpose, even at that young age, and it just was further developed.
Yes.
You know, the Lord used you going through the different events in your life.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
So when did you start working with the youth? About what year was that?
Officially about 1990.
Okay.
And that was my oldest son. I had him in training since he was 3 years old. He didn't know it. But as time progressed, at 10 and under, he won the NFL pass, punt, and kick. Got him in football, and of course, he realized something that was so funny about his speed and his athleticism. And he realized after a while, Dad, you were already preparing for that. Yep, it was. So, and getting him involved with the Boys and Girls Club was very incredible, because at that time, I'm dealing with inner city youth, as well as youth in the, as they call the suburbs. The program in which I coached out was number 8, which is St. Albans High School, which is on Wisconsin Avenue. So I'm dealing with diversity. So I'm bringing kids from the 14th Street corridor up into that echelon of life, and it gave them more exposure. And then they started understanding the importance of their academics, and they saw a different way of way people were living, and that really was a great exposure. And I wanted my children to have that as well.
Exactly. Now, was that part of that track foundation that you started?
That came later, because actually I was working at a major law firm called Melvin & Myers, and the attorneys there saw that I was doing the Boys and Girls Club, but then I got involved with basketball, AAU. Now understand this, I knew nothing about AAU basketball. I didn't know anything about basketball. All these programs that they're telling me about, I'm like a deer in the headlights. But the guy who got me involved, he says, look, you have the ability to plan properly. People are engaged, you're engaged with people and families, and the kids love you. Those are the easy parts for you. I'm going to teach you the game. And when he taught me the game, it was kind of like the rest is history. Because at that point, he and I formulated one of the most prominent AAU boys basketball programs in the nation.
Wow.
And the Youth Track Foundation came because of the attorneys I was working with. They set me up with 501(c), and then they became our pro bono attorneys. And by them doing that, we came up with an idea. We're going to do this youth track. So we would track the kids' academic prowess and community service prowess. And so that they would understand their responsibility of being accountable for their lives and their families' lives.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's pretty impressive. Do you still hear from some of the
Yes, I sure do.
Teens? Yeah. Well, they're not teens now. But,
well, look, I hear from. I'm sorry. I hear from some of the players. But most of them I hear from their parents, because the young men are, some of them are overseas playing ball, some of them are in the NBA and NFL, and in various programs, and I just keep track by way of my son, my oldest son. He kind of keeps track on where everybody is and what they're doing, and it's pretty amazing. It really is.
Yeah, because a couple of them became pro players, right?
Oh, quite a few of them.
Quite a few. That's pretty impressive. So that's a legacy.
And a few of them are still playing in the NBA today.
That's awesome.
Having the opportunity to coach these kids from the age of 10, through sometimes 17 years old, high school, is pretty amazing. But you never know who they're going to be and what they're going to do in their lives.
Yes, you set a great path for them to be where they are today.
But teaching them something that was probably more important than anything, accountability, and understand the power of prayer.
There you go.
Teaching them.
Great.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's kind of fast forward to 2006.
Okay.
So you started having health issues with the diabetes. When did you first learn that you had diabetes?
In 1993.
Oh, wow. So you had it for a bit.
So I had it for a while.
Okay.
And, I was managing it. And then things kind of got out of control because I got out of control. I was just doing so many different things that wasn't taking care of me. I had some real bad eating habits. And one thing led to another, and I started having major problems with my eyes. And it got to a point where I realized, you know what, I have to stop doing all this stuff. I need to start taking care of me. And folks, at one point in time, I was 230 pounds. And that pretty much kind of subdued me from doing the basketball and the football and everything else, because I had to learn some other things about myself, which meant I had to go through some rehab. But anyway, losing the sight in 2007 was mind-blowing.
Wow.
Okay, I can imagine. And can you talk a little bit about the impact that it had, not just on you? I know you lost your employment, you've lost your house, you lost vehicles, and a lot of people in situations like that even lose their family. But you and Cynthia managed to work your way through it and stay together. But did you also find that that was a really tough time with the family during that time, or were you guys, or did you just support each other? Well,
no, understand this. You're talking about not only psychological, but an emotional thing. All of a sudden, Dad can't see anymore. So what do we do? My wife had not intended, or had no idea that her husband now would be blind. She told me at one point she had ladies asking her when she gonna leave me.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just how carnal people are.
Yeah.
And my wife says, no, first of all, I love my husband, and he needs me more now than he ever has before. And, and when she told me that, I mean, it just kind of solidified also my next stages or steps towards being rehabilitated. And that was really that. And I understood this, and this is by the word of God. He says that my responsibility is with my wife first.
Yep.
Yep.
But he first, but she's first also. We're twain as one. And recognizing that, it was important for me to kind of get back involved with different things and see what God's going to lead, how he's going to lead my life after that. I had no idea what he was going to do.
Wow.
But what he did is absolutely amazing.
In 2009, you attended a blind rehab school. How did you find out about that? Was there a cost? Or, how long was the school?
Well, interesting enough, one day, and this is a true story, I'm standing in my living room, I'm in tears because I've lost my employment. I can't get around anymore on my own, so, kind of lost a sense of independence. And I asked the Lord, how can I still serve him as a blind man? And he immediately asked me a question. He says, will you trust me? And I said, yes, because your word says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. All thy ways acknowledge you, and you'll direct my path. Father, I need your help. I need to be directed because I can't see anymore. And I said, plus, and also, Father, your word tells me I'm going to seek you first, your kingdom and all of your righteousness and all other things to be added. I spoke his word back to him. His word never returns to him void. After that, I started seeing things start manifesting. I get a call from former Senator David Harrington. David Harrington was one of the important persons who implemented things in my life, who helped me initiate things. He's an evangelist and minister at Rhema Christian Center Church, where we all attended. But David pretty much got me in contact with the head of disabilities in the entire state of Maryland. That's God's favor. He calls me up and gave me information on programs. And when I started following, my wife and I followed up on the programs. We went to 2 locations, one Workforce Technology Training Center, and that was overwhelming because you got every aspect of disabilities there. And then we went to Blind Industries, where they specifically work with persons who are middle-aged adults who have lost their sight due to diabetes or some other kind of form. So with that said, went to the school for an entire year and had some incredible accomplishments. Whitewater rafting as a blind man, rock climbing as a blind man.
Wow.
Okay, paintball shooting as a blind man. Cooking extravaganzas, extravagant situations where we had projects for every class. You took Braille, you had computer competency, you had independent living, and then you had travel. So for the Braille, you had to learn Braille, and that's pretty comprehensive learning. Then you had to learn to use a computer. And that was the other thing. I didn't know how to type, so I had to learn the entire keyboard.
Oh, wow.
Not only that, with regard to the independent living, we had major projects. You had to go shopping for the school. You had to do these formal cooking for doing a formal meal, 6 to 8 people, inviting them, and you do your menu and everything. And you had to cook everything yourself. You clean everything yourself. Then you had to do your large meal, which is for 40 people, buffet.
My gosh, some of that's challenging with sight. Can you imagine doing it without?
Man, that's a lot.
But here's the most unique part of this whole situation. Every last one of my instructors were blind.
Wow.
So who better to learn from?
That is amazing.
Because the answer, no, I can't, never came out of your mouth.
I can imagine. Yeah, there are no excuses there, huh? It's like,
And here's the other thing. With travel, you're like a human GPS. They gave you an address. You had to find each location by way of using bus or walk.
wow.
No other person or no other kind of way can you actually get around. You had to use public transportation or you had to hoof it.
Wow.
That's a
Now,
lot.
was there concern about, people taking advantage of you, or did they talk about that? Because again, you're kind of on your own with.
Well, yeah, because
no
one of the
sight.
things the instructors would tell you is that, first of all, you have to learn to engage and disengage with people, because people are going to try to help you. But you got to know when and how. And one of the greatest things that I learned while I was doing this, this whole program, was my relationship with God. It just got to a point where He let me know He wants me to be totally dependent upon Him.
Yep.
And when that was it in a nutshell. So
Wow.
I understand what it means to walk by faith and not by sight, because I have no physical sight whatsoever. However, the Lord made something very clear to me, which was incredible. He told me one day, He says, yes, you've lost your physical sight, but you have my vision.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, because that's really kept you, you've kept moving, I should say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because in addition to that, you went on to do a couple other things. Yeah.
But let me share this with you. None of this could have been done without, of course, the guidance of our Father, but His wonderful, beautiful wife that I'm married to for 31 years.
And she is a very beautiful lady, inside and out.
That is my
she is.
queen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, kudos to Cynthia. Kudos, Cynthia. So yeah, she is a lovely person.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit. We have about 10 minutes left. So tell us a little bit about the inclusion specialist. When you did that with Maryland, what is that?
Maryland Park and Planning, Recreation Division.
Yep.
So one day when I got home from school after I graduated, I was looking for programs for the rest of the blind community. As I called, I talked to this woman, and she told me, she said, Mr. Smith, you intrigued me. Are you blind? I said, yes, I am. She asked me whether I was looking for employment, and I told her I would be. And she asked me to send my resume to her, and I did. And she called me back and asked me to come up to her office, walked in the door, heard the hiring package hit the desk plap, and hired me right there on the spot.
Wow.
The inclusion specialist allows me to talk with children, middle-aged adults, seniors, about what it means to be blind,
Okay.
and the things that normally you would be fearful of, but letting them know that still there's hope. And then I actually do presentations to the staff as well about different projects and things that I need to use, tools and things of that nature. But mainly, mostly all of it all is really creating the activity of understanding what sensitivity is about with regard to the disabled community.
So a lot of the benefits through the state, and by the way, audience, we do have, you'll see the information scrolling that is for Virginia, DC, and Maryland as far as the disability website, so that you can reach out and find out more about these services should you or a loved one be in need of them. But and this is disabilities of all natures, right? So you can reach out and get that information. So with that, most of the services, I should say probably all of these are free, including the blind school. Was that free as well? The one you went to for a year?
Yes, it's free, but
Okay.
you're basically being paid by the federal government.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And then one of the greatest things that I gained while I was at the rehab center, which was Blind Industries of Baltimore, of Maryland, National Federation of the Blind. This nonprofit organization is one of the most powerful organizations you'd ever want to come across. They have their own attorneys, and these attorneys are blind. They advocate on behalf of themselves and for us.
Wow.
So we did training modules, going to Annapolis and meeting with senators, training modules, going to the United States Capitol, meeting with congressmen,
Wow.
talking about legislative issues and whatnot. But those are the things that prepared me for doing what I'm doing now as a commissioner.
That's awesome. That is awesome, because in addition to being a commissioner, you're also with the you're also a leader of the Bridges Ministry at your church.
That was one of the other wonderful experiences. My wife and I needed to look for a new church home, and when we did, we found Reed Temple. And Reed Temple AME Church, along with maybe a couple others, were really the only African American churches in our county who had a ministry for persons with disabilities.
Wow.
And what I found out when I went into the ministry is that we weren't really particularly focusing on the blind community. So I kind of have taken sort of a spearhead with that, and it's been really, really great, been advantageous for all of us. because
Wow.
it expands our territory. And God's word tells us that, as Jabez prayed, it enlarge my territory.
Exactly.
But also, just another shout out, my pastor, Reverend Dr. Lee P. Washington, blessed me in 2015. He gave me an opportunity to do a presentation at our annual conference about what it meant to be blind and to be a disabled individual. And really, after that, really things started opening up, other churches really getting on board because they realized that they needed to really be able to focus their attention on these things as well.
Wow. Well, we are time is speeding by here. So, I mean, and that's the thing. When we sit down with Ray, whenever we talk to you, we could sit there and talk to you for hours.
Amen.
Amen. That's amazing. And I know our audience may want to hear more from you. So you guys have his contact information. So please reach out and contact Ray with any questions you may have, or just, to say hi. So
I know recently that you've stepped in the role of trying to be a financial literacy and financial freedom, and you're studying to take your state exam for the life and health.
Absolutely.
And I know me and you've been battling that for a little while.
Yeah.
But, we're conquering that. And how do you feel about that?
It's very exciting. One, the competency of literacy for financing has been something that's been avoiding our community for too long. And recognizing even as I work, in a corporate environment, I now find myself as an entrepreneur having all these different hats.
Yeah, you have a lot.
But really the interest is really being able to share this information, share the wealth of knowledge. The Word of God tells us his people perish because of lack of knowledge. We need to provide this knowledge and share it unconditionally, and that's been the greatest aspects that I've been able to seek after, being able to share information with others.
yeah, you may be, after you pass this test, you may be the first, I want to say the first blind producer in Maryland or any of the local states. I don't know how many are, if we have any at all, in the industry.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know
you
if
may
in
be
our company we don't.
Yeah.
So you will be the first one in our company.
So, and if nothing else, Ray, you may be setting new roads here, new paths.
Well, that if it's God's will, that's what will happen. Because again, opening the doors for my blind colleagues to see that, look, life is not over with just because you're blind.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, it's a new beginning.
Exactly,
yes.
it is. And I just find it so interesting that the Lord used you in different ways when you had sight, and then the Lord's just using you in a completely new path, of course, without sight, but you're able to touch so many more lives that you may not even have met, right, if it wasn't for this.
Yeah.
So it is amazing, like when you reached out to the Lord and said, still use me. I mean, and I'm sure there was depression and there was a whole gamut of emotions that went on through that period.
Yeah.
And so tell me, what would you like to leave with our audience? What word of encouragement or advice would you like to give them?
Well, first of all, as human beings, not just being blind or deaf or whatever the case may be, whatever your shortcoming is, you are human. And God has already mandated certain things for our lives. And we need to follow those. We need to follow his ordinance. And if we do that, life will be a lot easier, even though we know the challenges are always going to come, because they're there. But those are the tests that he takes us through. And I'm just very grateful that, I've had a great core team of individuals. As they say, talking about having praying grandmas and praying grandmas, grannies and grandfathers. Well, I had a praying daddy. Okay?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he's been really a great person orchestrating a lot of things in my life. And then, of course, me and my wife, and I tell anybody in a minute, this beautiful woman I know is Mrs. Cynthia Smith, saved my life. Okay, but really, just have hope. Keep focused and be optimistic about things in life. Don't try not to get down too much on yourself, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
It really is. And God is our source. He is truly our source. He is not only our provider, he's our peace, he's our hope, he's our love, he's our joy. And when we follow his mandates, oh boy, the sky's the limit.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. And well, it looks like your time is up here, so we need to start wrapping this up. So, but I want to piggyback on that real quick and just say that is so true. Regardless of how dark it gets and how bad of a storm you're going through, the sun always comes out afterwards. Right? You just got to hold on and get through that storm and wait on it. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, time is up, and we hope that you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget to check out the Commission for Disabilities website for your local area, should you need information for yourself or a loved one. The information for Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. is on the screen. Please remember that a disability is not the end of the road, but the beginning of a new journey. Amen. Life will always have challenges with or without disabilities, but it will also have opportunities. Absolutely. So what will you do with your opportunities? I so admire Ray for having a desire and a heart to serve the Lord, regardless of his circumstances.
It's a great honor.
He has purpose to help others in an effort to make their lives better. Can you imagine if we all applied even a small portion of his philosophy, determination, and compassion on a daily basis? I leave you with Ray's answer to the Lord when you were talking about when the Lord asked you what you would do. It's Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. But in all of thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. As always, feel free to reach out to David or me with any questions or comments. You can always message us on our ICOD Facebook, and have a blessed week, and we will see you next time. But until then, remember, keep it real.